smoothies or just wonderful fall drinks. So I'm going to add a little bit of cinnamon, just a dash of cinnamon. I got this ground cinnamon from Trader Joe's as well. I love Trader Joe's because Trader Joe's has a lot of season appropriate drinks and foods and things like that. So I'm just gonna put a dash of cinnamon. Okay, that should be good enough. And then I'm going to use a hand frother to froth it up. Okay. Now the trick with using a hand frother is you need to hold it at an angle and first insert the frother. Okay. Don't turn it on quite yet because you'll have a big hot mess. You see how that cinnamon's pulling at the top, so we're just going to... Okay, so the frothing can get very, very messy. So I always suggest making sure that the drink isn't piping hot when you froth it, and also make sure it's not filled to the brim. But hey, you live and you learn. Anyways, I added a little bit of froth to my oat milk. If you have cow's milk, it'll froth a whole lot, a whole lot, a whole lot, a whole lot better. So here is the end result. I could have frothed it a little bit more, but it just wasn't working out. So next I'm gonna add, I got this. So you can either add like hot chocolate, or you can add whatever you want, or coffee. I love this dandelion and caramel nut tea. It's caffeine free and it naturally boosts energy. It's a prebiotic too, so it helps with aiding in digestion, and it's gluten free. It does contain almonds, so beware of that. Okay, but the caramel flavor, or the caramel scent, is really intense. Okay, so you guys don't mind my nails in this video. I really need to feel, and also I broke both of my pinkies on 2 different days. Go figure. I'm gonna open this. I love this scent. It smells so good. My drink is all complete. I have to let it sit and let that caramel and all the color just sink in or set in. Next, we are going to make s'mores, like, very quickly. So you're probably thinking, like, how are you gonna make s'mores right here? I got a trick. So we're gonna use a candle to make s'mores. Yay! I'm joking. This burn is because the flame touched the marshmallow, but you see how I'm a little bit above. Okay, this is not a tutorial, okay, you guys? Just letting you know. Disclaimer, this is not a tutorial, I'm just talking. So, the next word is apple. Apple spice. Apple spice. Apple spice. Apple spice. Apple spice. Okay, so it's sliding. It's sliding. Yay! That's how you know it is ready. Graham crackers. And I got a Hershey's chocolate bar, and just gonna place it really quick. So here we are. Wow, look at that. Look at that s'more. You guys, you can't tell me that doesn't look delicious. And I did this right in my living room. So okay, this is not an eating video. So this video is all things cozy and all things fall and autumn. So I've decided to bring back the wafer cookie, the Pyroline brand. And I'm gonna add this to my drink. Gonna use it as my stir stick. I wish I could use it as my straw, but the drink's too hot. But look at that. You guys can't tell me that doesn't look divine. I'll take a little sip. Oh my goodness, it's bursting with so much flavor. The cinnamon and the dandelion caramel nut, so good. Okay, since this is all things cozy, I brought out my really cozy sweater that I got for these scary stories we're gonna tell. Okay. So this thing is so comfortable and it's light. It's perfect for fall. It's not very wintry, but it's perfect for fall. It's yellow and it kind of is a good accent to any orange colors. From the Dollar Tree, I got these really cozy socks. So I got my socks on, I got my sweater on, I got my drink, and I have my s'more here, okay? I got this really cool pillow, Ross as well. It says, with God, all things are possible, and that is very true, especially during this like transitional period. Just know that God loves you. Okay, so I got face mask. So I think that this is the perfect time for self-care. Fall, well, any time of the year, but fall is the time where you get your crap together, you feel me? So I got this Burt's Bees brightening biocellulose gel mask. Okay, so it says it gives you the skin the gift of glowing with Burt's Bees brightening biocellulose gel mask, naturally derived from coconuts. In 10 minutes, our brightening mask features mandarin extract, a known source of vitamin C. I like this. Sorry guys. And then we have the hydrating one. This is perfect for fall, because a lot of the times, like, fall excuse to yell at them. He says the most terrible things, Mrs. Paul said. My parents thanked them, but I don't think they quite believed them. I mean, like, why would you believe them? They sound crazy. My mom especially wasn't fond of gossip, and she tried to take such rumors with a grain of salt until she could make her own decisions. She didn't have to wait long. So, my older brother Scotty and I were outside tossing a baseball back and forth. One Saturday morning when Scotty tossed it too hard and high, it sailed over my head, bounced in the street, and rolled to a stop at the very edge of Mr. Fillmore's yard. That's where it would stay. I wouldn't even touch it. I'm not doing it. Okay. Both of us had overheard our neighbor's warnings and were hesitant to even look at the house, much less approach it. Go get it, Liz, Scotty said, nudging my shoulder. But you threw it, I replied. So you missed. I couldn't reach it. My whining had no effect. He pushed me towards the road. After checking both ways, I began to creep across, across towards our ball. Sheesh, this is getting intense. I had almost reached it. I just had to take a couple more steps and it would have been within my grasp when the door of the house flew open. What the heck are you doing? A stout man with thin graying hair came bursting outside and stomped across his lawn towards me. My ball, I tried to say, pointing to it. You brats throwing things at my house think it would be funny to break a window. No. I glanced over my shoulder to see Scotty half poised to run inside and whimpered. Get out of here, Mr. Fillmore said. Can I just... No, you can't. Before I could react, he'd scoop up the baseball, which had barely been touching his grass, and stomped inside. The whole front of his house seemed to shake with the force of the slammed door. They're in some deep trouble. So it was the first of what would be many run-ins with everyone's least favorite neighbor. Scotty and I were out and I happened to glance at the house, I would see a tall, slender figure outlined behind the sheer curtains in one of the upstairs windows. While I couldn't get a very good look at her, I figured it couldn't be anyone but the Mr. Fillmore didn't have anyone else, right? She banged on the window and shouted at us like her husband. She'd stand there and I swallowed hard and forced myself to follow Scotty. The bay window I knew he spied us from had a little hole cut into it, just enough for someone to see out of it. We cleared the hole downstairs pretty quickly. There was no sign of our things. Crap, Scotty hissed. He must be upstairs. But Mrs. Fillmore, just stay close and stay quiet, okay? I nodded too nervously to say anything. We'd only gotten to a few steps, and Scotty immediately pressed himself against the wall. We listened for soft footsteps in the next room. Scotty, I whispered, grabbing at my sleeve with both hands. Let's go. No, he went too far. We went too far this time. I'm going to get my helicopter. Door hinges squeaked from somewhere upstairs and footsteps stopped. Scotty pulled his arm from me and scampered up the remaining steps. Reluctantly, I went up too. We found a guest bedroom first. It was all muted colors and magazine quality furniture, void of any warmth or personality, like it was just set for a show, never intended for use. At least it was a bit higher, brighter up there. The second room was obviously Mr. Fillmore's. It was the most lived-in looking in all of the rooms, and even then, that was only there because the pictures were hanging on the wall. I wondered how someone could live in such a cold, lifeless house. There was only one room left upstairs, the one Mrs. Fillmore must have gone into. Scotty and I traded a look, his determined mind silently pleading for him to go. He brushed me off and placed the flat of his hand on the door, pushing it open slowly. Inside, the room was almost empty except for a large vanity against the wall. A framed wedding picture was on it, and I recognized Mr. Fillmore, despite being younger and thinner. In front of the vanity, posed on a tall stool, was a mannequin. She was wearing what I thought of was as a 50s housewife, white with little pink and green flowers all over it. Let's just go, I begged with a cold sweat. The mannequin head sharply turned towards us. A mannequin's head turned sharply towards us. Scotty leapt forward with a yelp and an arm thrown out protectively in front of me. Liz, his voice was trembling. Run! I stumbled back down the hall on legs, and that didn't work. I could hear Scotty stomping along behind me, and behind a rapid skittering, we skid to the top of the stairs and grabbed the railing. It was empty. I dared to glance down the hallway. It was empty. Where'd it go? Something thudded against the ceiling. We both looked and screamed. The mannequin was crawling, spider-like, over our heads. She wrenched her head completely around, turning her blank face towards us, and glided towards the wall. She started to descend the whole time, facing us. I was still screaming when Scotty hooked his arm around my waist and hauled me downstairs, grabbed the back of my shirt, and practically threw me down the hall. And Scotty was shrieking. I spun. The mannequin was crouched on the last step, one arm outstretched, her fingers wrapped around Scotty's ankle. They were tightening. Scotty, Liz, I wanted to stay. I wanted to grab his hand and pull him with all my might, but he shouted, run, over and over again. It was the last time I ever saw my big brother. No trace of Scotty was ever found. My parents searched, police searched, there was dogs and special agents and time and money, but none of it mattered. It was as if he had simply vanished. But Fillmore wasn't a suspect for long, with no evidence, no history of criminal record. Scotty was dubbed a missing child, reduced to a single box of paperwork. No one believed me when I told them what really happened. They all said Scotty was kidnapped on our way back from Fillmore's house, and they said I was too young to really understand it, that I had gotten confused. I write, and that's when I write the best things. And a lot of the times I write really short things. I don't really write a lot of very long things. I'm a type of person where I just get straight